콩쥐팥쥐, Korea's Cinderella with consequences. Chapter 1. The House of Two Daughters. The Girl Who Spoke to Sparrows. Long ago, in the ancient kingdom of Goryeo, where mist clung to the mountains and the rice paddies shimmered like mirrors of the sky, there lived a man of modest means, named Master Choi. He was a gentle soul, a scholar, the kind of man who bowed to elders twice and apologized to trees he accidentally brushed against. His first wife had been a woman of great warmth. She gave him one daughter before the fever took her. That daughter was called Kongjwi, Kong, meaning bean, small and tender, yet full of quiet life. Kongjwi had her mother's eyes dark, still, like the surface of a deep well. For 3 years, Master Choi raised her alone, until loneliness convinced him to remarry. His new wife arrived with silks and perfumes, and a daughter of her own, a loud, demanding girl named Patjwi. Pat, meaning red bean, plump, flushed, and very sure of herself. The stepmother wore her smile like a mask. She was kind to Master Choi in the lamplight. In the daylight, when he was gone to the market or the temple, she was something else entirely. Kongjwi learned quickly. She learned to wake before the roosters, to carry water until her shoulders burned, to bow deeply and say nothing when Patjwi wore her mother's hairpin. She did not complain. She spoke instead to the sparrows that perched on the well, and they, perhaps out of pity, perhaps out of something older than pity, always seemed to listen. Chapter 2. The Impossible Tasks. Weave until your fingers bleed. One spring morning, a royal proclamation reached their village. The governor of the province, a young nobleman, unmarried, from a family of old gold, was to hold a great festival. All eligible young women of good character were invited. The finest among them might catch his eye. Patjwi shrieked with delight. The stepmother immediately began planning new dresses, new shoes, new hairpins shaped like phoenixes. Kongjwi's heart fluttered just once before she buried the feeling like a seed under stone. The stepmother turned to Kongjwi with a smile that did not reach her eyes. "You may also attend," she said sweetly, "once you finish your chores." The chores were not chores. They were curses, dressed as tasks. First, a cracked earthen jar. Fill it with water from the stream. Water poured in, water poured out. The crack drank everything she gave it. Second, a field of hard red earth. Till this plot, with only your hands and this broken hoe. Third, a pile of raw hemp. Weave this into cloth before sundown. 3 tasks. One afternoon, an earthen jar with a bleeding crack. A field of stone, a mountain of unspun thread. The stepmother and Patjwi left for the festival in a cloud of silk and laughter. Kongjwi knelt by the stream and wept, not loudly, not dramatically, but in the small, silent way of someone who has learned that weeping must be done quickly. And then the earth moved. A great toad, the color of old jade, hauled itself out of the mud. It pressed its wide belly against the crack in the jar and sealed it. Water held. From the sky, a flock of sparrows descended, hundreds of them, their small feet churning the earth like living plows. The field was tilled. A heavenly maiden, radiant as morning fog, appeared at the edge of the yard. Without a word, she sat at the hemp pile and began to weave. Her fingers moved like water. By the time the sun touched the western hills, the cloth was done. Kongjwi stared at the folded cloth in her arms. Then she ran. Chapter 3. The Festival and the Lost Shoe. Flowers don't bow, they bloom. She arrived at the festival breathless and barefoot. She had lost one flower-embroidered silk shoe crossing the stone bridge over the lotus pond. The festival was already blazing with lantern light. Music floated from silk pavilions. Officials in tall horsehair hats moved through the crowd like black herons. Kongjwi stood at the edge of it all, her one shoe in hand, her hair slightly undone, her face flushed with running. The governor saw her from across the courtyard. He did not look away. There is a saying in the old country, A flower does not ask permission to bloom. The governor crossed the lantern-lit yard in long, deliberate strides. He had interviewed daughters of ministers. He had been presented with women of calculated grace and expensive beauty. None of them had stood the way Kongjwi stood, as if she was slightly surprised to exist, yet perfectly at ease with the surprise. He asked her name. She told him. She laughed, and the laugh was like a stone dropping into still water, clean, real, gone too quickly. Before she could say another word, she saw the stepmother and Patjwi cutting through the crowd toward her, faces tight with fury behind their festival smiles. She ran. The shoe stayed behind, sitting on a stone step like a small, forgotten secret. Chapter 4. The shoe that fit only 1 foot. You cannot force a river into a jar. The governor could not forget her. He sent officials across the province with the silk shoe. Every household with an unmarried daughter was visited. The shoe, delicate as a petal, embroidered with a single lotus, was offered to each girl in turn. At Master Choi's house, Patjwi shoved herself forward first. She sat. She grabbed the shoe. She pushed. She grunted. She turned red as a winter persimmon. The shoe did not yield, not by a single thread. The stepmother suggested, with a voice smooth as riverstone, that perhaps the stitching could be loosened, perhaps the inside could be reshaped, perhaps if the official would simply close his eyes. The official did not close his eyes. He asked if there were any other daughters. A long pause. From behind the kitchen screen, Kongjwi appeared, flower on her sleeve, hair pulled back, hands that trembled only slightly. She sat. She lifted the shoe. It slid onto her foot, like water returning to its source. The official bowed. Kongjwi bowed back. Patjwi screamed. The stepmother said nothing, which was, somehow, much worse. Chapter 5. The wedding and the silence that followed. The moon rises. The snake watches. The wedding was held under a full harvest moon. Kongjwi arrived at the governor's estate in a palanquin of lacquered wood and red silk, with pine boughs woven into the roof for long life. The servants who dressed her wept a little. She was so young, they said, so quietly beautiful. The governor stood waiting in the great hall in his ceremonial robes, his face composed, but his hands were not entirely still. They exchanged cups of rice wine. They bowed. The red and blue threads were tied. That night, the governor told her something he had not told his officials, his advisors, or his mother. I have been watching for someone like you for a long time, not because you are beautiful, though you are, but because when you laughed, it seemed like something you had almost forgotten you were allowed to do. Kongjwi did not answer right away. Then she said, I had forgotten. Yes. The stepmother, back in Master Choi's house, sat very still that night. Patjwi wept into her pillow, and the stepmother, who had spent her life calculating, began to calculate again. Chapter 6. The trap at the lotus pond. Even still water has a current beneath. Several months after the wedding, a message arrived. It was written in the stepmother's careful hand, on paper that smelled faintly of orchid. It said, Your father is ill. Come alone. Come quickly. Kongjwi went. Of course she did. She was that kind of person. She walked the road back to her childhood home. The rice paddies on either side stood gold in the autumn light. She remembered walking this road with her mother once, long ago, collecting fallen persimmons after a rain. The stepmother met her at the gate with a face arranged into grief. She led Kongjwi inside. She fed her tea. She led her to the lotus pond behind the house. Your father always loved the lotus. Come see how they bloomed this year. And while Kongjwi leaned over the water, looking for her reflection among the wide green leaves, the stepmother pushed her in. The water was deeper than it looked. Kongjwi sank. She did not know how to swim. No one had ever taught her. It had never seemed necessary in the life she had lived. The pond received her in silence. The stepmother smoothed her robes. She called for Patjwi. She dressed Patjwi in Kongjwi's outer robe, the one embroidered with silver cranes. the one the governor had given her on their wedding day. Then she walked Patjwi to the governor's estate. "Your wife has changed," she told the gatekeeper. "She has recovered from illness and looks different. Do not be alarmed." The governor knew immediately that something was wrong, but grief, real grief, sometimes looks like confusion. He said nothing. He watched. He waited. 7. The woman who became flowers and the price of cruelty. The dead do not forget, neither does justice. That night, a lotus flower floated through the governor's window. No wind, no hand. It simply arrived, white, open, impossible. He held it. It was warm. He did not sleep. In the morning, a bluebird sat outside his window and sang a song he half remembered, a melody without words, but one that made his chest ache in the precise shape of Kongjwi's absence. He called for an investigation. His most trusted official returned from Master Choi's house, white-faced and silent. The lotus pond. They found Kongjwi not in the way they feared, but transformed, hovering in the water's center as a lotus. Her spirit woven into the flower, unable to leave, unable to return, held between worlds by an act of deliberate malice. A shaman was summoned. The rites were performed over 3 days and 3 nights, with drums and fire, and the names of the dead called back toward the living. On the 3rd dawn, Kongjwi stepped out of the water, whole, cold, alive. She stood on the bank with lotus pollen in her hair and said nothing for a long time. Then she looked at the governor. Then she looked at the stepmother, who had been brought bound and no longer calm. What happened next? The old stories do not soften. The stepmother was tried before the village, the officials, and the heavens. Her crimes were spoken aloud: cruelty, deception, attempted murder. The sentence was carried out in public, as all sentences were in those days, as a reminder to all who watched that the world has a long memory. Patjwi, who had known what her mother did and said nothing, was exiled. She walked out of the province in the clothes she arrived in, without silk, without silver cranes, without her name attached to anything of value. As for Kongjwi, she and the governor lived long, and their house was full of noise and persimmons, and children who were, inexplicably, very good at talking to birds. And on the surface of the lotus pond, which no one ever filled in, the white flowers bloomed every year, larger than they had any right to be.